Woohoo! Hey, good morning. It's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. I actually took some time and I combed through some of your entries, your photo entries on our website. So you can go to our website, cities929.com. We've teamed up with Guns and Glory in Leroy, Illinois. Love Guns and Glory. They've got rifles, they've got handguns, they've got this huge inventory, largest I've ever seen, actually. And we've teamed up with them, Quinn Skulls Taxidermy, and Bloomington Meats, and we kind of got together this prize pack for you. How do you win the $500 gift card to Guns and Glory and Leroy, a free deer processing from Bloomington Meats, plus you get a $100 gift card to Quinn Skulls Taxidermy? How do you win this? It's real easy. You submit a photo of you and your game, your kill. So show us your trophy bucks, pheasant, quails, and ducks. I don't think it's duck season. I know it's like deer season, and I think it's going on for a few more days, with the guns. They've got bow season, and then you can actually do rifle season. So we're going to randomly select a winner of this prize pack. And we're going to notify that winner by December 30th. So attention hunters, now is your time. And I was scrolling through some of these entries, and man, we've got a lot of hunters who listen to the program. So before we get into today's stories, go ahead, text me, let me know what you think. Are you mentally ill if you are wearing a mask in 2024? I'm going to say that you're beyond mentally ill. There is no hope for you if you are wearing a mask in 2024. It's painfully obvious that they did nothing to slow the spread in 2020, and it's not me who says that. It's Tony Fauci, the guy, the bureaucrat in charge of the pandemic. Okay, Tony Fauci has come out and said that they did nothing to slow the spread in 2020 during the pandemic. It's undeniable at this point. But you've got Taylor Lorenz out there blasting Americans for, and I'm quoting her here, raw dogging clean air without masks. Yes. And she had like a profanity-laden tirade on social media. She went on a rant about how she's sick of Americans in 2024 not wearing masks. Yes. And Taylor Lorenz, she's not the only one who is wearing her mask. I think there's literally only two people I know who wear masks in 2024. McLean County Chair Lizzy Johnston is still wearing her mask, yes, in 2024. But folks like Lorenz, she only wears it sometimes. And really, what I think it is, it's a virtue signaling thing. They want to virtue signal that they are beholden to this ideology, although it makes no sense, and the evidence proves that masks are useless. And the experts have confirmed that it was not based in science, mandating you to wear this mask, and that it does nothing to slow the spread of COVID. So why in the hell are you wearing it? And you only wear it sometimes, which proves to me that it's just a virtue signaling leftist uniform. That's what it is. It's a leftist uniform. And Taylor Lorenz and your McLean County Chair, Lizzy Johnston, is still wearing one. I do want to get to the CNN panel member. I don't even know what her name is, but I saw the clip and my jaw dropped. I was like, do these people really think that Trump is bringing back firing squads, or it wants firing squads, and that he's going to like gun down Joe Biden once he gets into office? Are these people nuts? Are they crazy? So she's all about the Hunter Biden pardon because she thinks that Trump wants firing squads. They're crazy. They're nuts. So we're going to get to that. Plus, I can't believe this story. A transgender officer who allegedly assaulted two colleagues with a penis pump has now been elected as a female representative on the police force. So she is, in charge of women on the police force, or he's in charge of women on the police force, or like is a representative of women on the police force. Wild. And he's facing these really egregious, the worst heinous crime that you could possibly commit he's facing those allegations, and I get it, innocent until proven guilty, but we don't elect people to leadership positions while they're facing allegations, especially not when they're facing allegations for something like these crimes committed against these two colleagues of his. So let's get into it. Go ahead, find me on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Rumble. Subscribe to the channel. Here we go. Wearing masks in 2024. Text me and let me know. Do you think it's mentally ill to be wearing a mask in 2024? Really, I think they're so beholden to this ideology, and nobody should be that beholden. It's cultish. It's like a cult. You're a cult member. I think you're beyond mentally ill. I think you're a part of a cult if you're wearing a mask in 2024. Because even though it's painfully obvious that they didn't do anything to slow the spread in 2024, how do I know that? I opened my eyes and I saw the truth for myself, but it's also the experts who have said from, I think it's like 2022 on, everybody started to say, oh, the masks did nothing really to slow the spread. And it's undeniable at this point. Really, what the masks are for, they're for people like Taylor Lorenz and Lizzy Johnston to scream for attention. They want attention. That's why they wear the mask. So while all the evidence has proved that masks are useless and disgusting, and all this evidence has been proved for the last 4 years. I mean, literally, I think a few months after 2020, a few months into 2020, we started to recognize, and the experts started to confirm that none of this was based in science. The 6-foot rule, that wasn't based in science. So why on earth is Taylor Lorenz out there claiming that you are, quote, and I'm quoting her here, raw dogging the air because you listen to the science? Actually, you're listening to the experts. The experts have told you that the masks are useless and they weren't based in science. And because you're listening to that, she's mad at you? No, and not just mad, she's like furious with you, because here is a profanity laden tweet. And I'm gonna try my best with this tweet. Like I said, it's profanity laden, so you're just gonna have to read it on your own. Former Washington Post journalist Taylor Lorenz, who at some point, the Washington Post, they did a hit piece on me and said I was a QAnon conspiracy theorist, whatever. But she retweeted it, and I amplified that hit piece story. And she's no longer with the Washington Post, probably because they have no money, because nobody reads that stuff. But Taylor Lorenz claimed that people who don't wear masks in public are raw dogging the air. And she went on this expletive, profanity-laden social media rant. Lorenz, the controversial columnist, so she's a very, very lefty columnist for the Washington Post. Used to be with the Washington Post. She probably got laid off. But she used to grab headlines when she was with the Washington Post for branding President Joe Biden as a war criminal, with the whole Gaza thing. So she unleashed this foul-mouthed tirade, and she ripped into people who will not continue to wear masks during the, quote, ongoing COVID pandemic. I think it's so funny that she calls it the ongoing pandemic. Chances are, if you have to explicitly say, hey, it's an ongoing pandemic, it's not actually ongoing. If you have to say it's ongoing, then it's not actually ongoing, okay? Here we go. This is what she said on Blue Sky. Okay, she raged on Blue Sky because I don't know if she's still on X or whatever, but the lefties love Blue Sky. So she's on Blue Sky and she says, I love when people find photos of me where my mask is off for like 5 seconds and I'm outside at a book party where every single attendee had a PCR test, as if it's some sort of gotcha. It is a gotcha, because you're not wearing the mask in this instance when you're out in public, but you're wearing the mask in this instance when you're out in public when there's cameras rolling. And it's the same with Lizzy Johnson. So she was wearing the mask during the entire McLean County board meeting. She was up there, and when she was nominated to be chair. And all of the Republicans, by the way, that were in attendance voted for her to become chair. So she was up there, she wore it, and then when she takes a photograph with all of her Democrat buddies, she takes the mask off. Same thing here with Taylor Lorenz. When she was with all of her buddies at a book party, and with all of her friends who had PCR test, right? She takes her mask off. She says, quote, this is what she talked about with the safe book launch. It was like a book party of, I don't know if it was her book or whatever, but she was with some people. And Taylor Lorenz says, planning a COVID-safe book launch took months and thousands of my own dollars, ensuring testing, outdoor space, UV lights, and a litany of other precautions. I'm sorry. This is going to be hard to get through. Meanwhile, you dumb blanks are out there raw dogging the air and spewing your disease-laden breath all over your elderly neighbors. We are not the same. Oh boy, definitely, she's right. We are not the same. We are not the same. And she's out there spending thousands of dollars for UV lights. Like, where is she getting that from? I've never heard UV lights. Okay, maybe sunlight and natural sunlight, vitamin D, right, over a period of time prevents you from getting COVID-19. It prevents you from getting a whole litany of diseases or sickness. Prevents you from getting sick, vitamin D. So I don't know what the science is to have like tanning bed lights over yourself while you're at this like book launch. I think it's so funny. So does she realize that a vast majority of people don't wear masks anymore, right? Have you seen anybody wearing a mask in 2024? Really? Like in your day-to-day life, does anybody really wear this stuff? And she's othering like 99% of the population. I think there's literally only two people that I know wear the mask, and it's Lizzy Johnson and Taylor Lorenz. So, I mean, what? I just don't. You're breathing all over your elderly neighbors. Ugh, gosh. And then she calls you a dumb blank for not wearing a mask, and she spent thousands of dollars on a book launch that was also, this is not based in science. None of it is based in science. This speaks volumes about her. She was willing to spend thousands of dollars to virtue signal, to have the lights, the PCR testing. Joke's on her, because even Fauci admitted that this was all arbitrary and that the COVID-19 rules, like around masking or social distancing, all of it was fake. It didn't act. There was no actual science behind it. Here he is, Tony Fauci, admitting this.
He came from the CDC. The CDC was responsible for those kinds of guidelines for schools, not me. So when I said that it just appeared, it appeared. Was there any science behind it? What I meant by no science behind it is that there wasn't a controlled trial that said compare 6 foot with 3 feet with 10 feet. So there wasn't that scientific evaluation of it. What I believe the CDC used for their reason to say 6 feet is that studies years ago showed that when you're dealing with droplets, which at the time that the CDC made that recommendation, it was felt that the transmission was primarily through droplet, not aerosol, which is incorrect because we know now aerosol does play a role. That's the reason why they did it. It had little to do with me since I didn't make the recommendation.
Oh boy. So there you have him. Tony Fauci, he doesn't even want to take credit for this. Notice how he blamed it all on the CDC. He was like, it was the CDC who believed, who felt that these were the policies that need to be put in place. So the policies that Taylor and Johnston are obsessed with are anti-scientific. And that's not me saying it. It's Tony Fauci. Tony Fauci didn't even want to take credit for it. He blamed the CDC. So it's unclear if she has yet to discover the science was a fraud or if she's just so caught up in this lie. And this is part of it too. You're just so caught up in this lie and you were lied to. And I understand. But at some point, you got to open up your eyes. She might just be doubling down. She was lied to and now she's doubling down and she's too far caught up in this lie and she's got to double down. I don't know. I think that there's probably a little bit of both there. She has yet to discover the actual science. I mean, unless are you listening to Tony Fauci? Tony actually quite literally said that it was all based on feelings and not reals. There was no scientific study that suggested that COVID-19 masks or like the masks or the 6 feet distancing rule was based in. It wasn't based in science. So, like I said, she's othering 99% of the country. There's only 2 people, I think, in the world or in this nation that use a mask. I haven't seen anybody but Taylor Lorenz and Lizzy Johnson, the McLean County board chair. Almost no one wears a mask anymore. And she's saying all of this because she thinks it's rooted in science or evidence, and it's all wrong. I think that she really is just trying to remain relevant, and she's beholden to this ideology. And, she just doesn't want to admit that she was wrong. So before we take a break, I do want to share this really quick. Lizzy Johnson, these are a couple of pictures actually on blnnews.com. These are great. So there she is with her mask, right? So that was during the entire county board meeting. She had the mask on. And then you scroll down and then you see that she's pictured with all of her Democrat friends. You've got Jim Rogel there in the center. And then you've got Crystal Label, and this was on Crystal Label's Facebook page. You've got Lizzy Johnson right there, no mask at all. So it's like, okay, this is clearly you guys just wanting attention. You're not worried about COVID-19 in this situation with this group of people, and you're much closer with this group of people. Like, she's wearing the mask when she's, spread out away from everybody else, and she's wearing the mask by herself, like, at her microphone. But then she gets around an entire group of people and she takes off the mask for the picture. Makes no sense. All right, I do have to take a quick break, but you're listening to Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. Hey, good morning. Go ahead and smash that like button. What do you think? Are you mentally ill if you are wearing a mask? I think that you're a part of a cult, honestly. Like, you honestly are just trying to remain relevant, or you're trying to stay beholden to this ideology, and they lied to you and you're doubling down, and it's kind of embarrassing. Just admit you're wrong. Admit that you were wrong about the mask. I'll admit it. I wore a mask in the beginning, but once I started to realize, I was like, this isn't really stopping the spread, and people are coming out now and saying that they didn't do any studies to back this mandate up. I'm going to stop wearing it. And actually, the crazy thing is, while I was wearing a mask, I got COVID-19. Once I took that mask off, I never got COVID again, I don't think. I mean, I didn't test for it, but I was also testing for it. I was a little scared in the beginning, and I went and I tested, and I tested positive for COVID-19. But that was meanwhile I was wearing a mask. So it's very interesting. The moment I took the mask off, I was like, huh. And the moment I stopped testing, I was like, you know what? Everything's fine. I think that there's just this hysteria surrounding this pandemic and surrounding the sniffles. Now, what was egregious was the saying, oh, the masks help. Oh, the social distancing helps. But meanwhile, they're not actually putting out the solutions that do help people. So there was hydroxychloroquine, there was ivermectin. Now, once you got into the hospital, you all know that my dad came down with a really bad case of COVID-19. And I will never forgive the government powers that put these mandates in place, because they did nothing, right? And the only thing that helps people get over COVID-19, I believe, is the ivermectin. The ivermectin, if you catch COVID early and if you take that antiviral, I really do believe that's what ultimately saved my dad's life, was the ivermectin. He took it very late, though, because it wasn't readily available. I had to find a black bag doctor who was willing to write me a prescription. Then I had to find some a hole in the wall pharmacy that would actually fill my ivermectin, because you go to CVS, they wouldn't fill it. You go to Walgreens, they wouldn't fill it. So I had to try to find some local pharmacy that was willing to fill it. And that's the thing that really bothers me. You can be wrong about all of this stuff, about the masking, the social distancing, and come out later and say that it wasn't based in science like Tony Fauci did. But what really bothered me was that people were saying, and doctors were saying, hey, hydroxychloroquine, vitamin D, taking lots of vitamin D, ivermectin, if you get COVID and contract it early on, take that antiviral to stop it from spreading within your body. All of that was suppressed. And they said that you were quacky. They said that you were a conspiracy theorist. And they said, trust the experts. And the experts were lying to you. They were telling you to mask up and to vax and to social distance. And none of that actually ultimately saved my dad from COVID-19. What actually saved him, I think, was monoclonal antibodies was a big one that he used. And then you've got the hydroxychloroquine and the ivermectin. And ultimately, he came out with his life. He had comorbidities too. He got into an accident where he breathed in some chloroform gas, and that contributed to him contracting COVID, and COVID kind of really attacking the lungs there. But he's doing much better now. I'll tell you right now, though, the mask and the social distancing crap, no, it didn't work. And that wasn't going to save his life. What was going to save the lives of people who had the comorbidities, and let's keep this into context here. He had comorbidities. He was a little bit older, right? Overweight. This is how people were contracting COVID-19. And that science wasn't at the forefront. Hey, exercise, get out into the sun, take your vitamin D supplements, keep some ivermectin on hand. All of that was suppressed, and it killed people. Fauci needs to be behind bars for what he did. He knew, and he later comes out and says none of this was based in scientific studies. It was all based on feeling, and the CDC, they were the ones who believed that would work to slow the spread of COVID-19. No, what actually works is, being a healthy human being and taking your vitamin D and having an antiviral on hand, a safe antiviral like ivermectin. But that wasn't going to get them the money, right? They wanted you to get sick. And the masks, actually, there's studies now that have shown that the masks contributed to immunity, problems with your immunity, and problems with contracting COVID, actually. So they were a contributing factor to getting sick because you've got all this bacteria in there, and you will get sick with that bacteria in your mask, and it'll bring down your immunity, and then you could catch a virus like COVID-19. So they lied to you. And they killed people. And I'm never going to forget it. You're never going to forget it. I know that. And, the fact that you got people in 2024 still wearing the mask, that's mentally ill. Woohoo! Hey, good morning. It's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9, the news and talk Bloomington Normal. Yes, I think it's mentally ill. I think you're beholden to an ideology. If you are still wearing this mask in 2024, there's something not right. Clearly, Tony Fauci has come out and said that none of this is social distancing, none of the masking was based in science. There was no studies to suggest that would work. Now, the problem with COVID, and I'll never forget this, as I've shared with you before, my dad came down with COVID-19, and it was a really bad case. And I'm convinced the only things that saved his life were monoclonal antibodies, ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, and we just threw vitamin D, and threw vitamin D at it, and he came out with his life. He's doing much, much better now. And like I said, comorbidities, that's what people were dealing with COVID-19. It was people who had underlying health issues, overweight, the elderly, right? And we didn't talk about that kind of stuff enough. Actually, I'd go as far as to say that kind of stuff was suppressed. I couldn't fill my dad's prescription for ivermectin. I had to go to a black bag doctor, get a prescription for ivermectin. Then I had to go to some hole-in-the-wall pharmacy, local pharmacy, because you can go to CVS or Walgreens because they were instructed to not fill ivermectin. And it was suppressed. What actually contributed to healthy people being healthy and people not getting COVID-19 or contracting COVID-19. They suppressed all that information, and in the forefront, you had the social distancing, the COVID or the 6 feet rule, and then you had the masking. And it's a real shame because people ultimately died because the same people who told you masks work are the same people who are telling you masks didn't work now. But back then, they told you that masks worked and social distancing worked, and it didn't. And then they would tell you that, oh, you're a quack or you're a conspiracy theorist if you're taking ivermectin. They called it horse paste. Remember? Horse paste. Oh, it's horse paste. No, people were trying to get their prescriptions filled for ivermectin and they couldn't get it filled. That's what happened. They were wanting you to stay sick so that way you'd get COVID and get the vaccine. And that's what they wanted you to do. It's real sad, but I do want to take a second and I want to talk a little bit about the CNN panel. This is a hilarious story. I can't believe that this woman, and this kind of piggybacks on this idea that you're so beholden to an ideology that you've lost all sense of reason, all sense of your ability to think. Like, I mean, for the past 4 years, the Justice Department, the Department of Justice, they used every political weapon that they had against one of the most popular major political candidates in America. That's Donald Trump. Okay, prosecutors in leftist areas: Alvin Bragg, Jack Smith, Fannie Willis. I could go on. They went after Donald Trump. And in one jurisdiction, they convicted him of more felonies than a serial killer would get. Okay, so they obviously were not using the legal system in the right way. They were using it as a political weapon. So this one panelist on CNN, and I want to share this with you, she talks about, she's projecting really her leftist insecurities, and she attempted to accuse Trump of conspiring to do everything that the Biden administration did, actually. So she's saying that he wants to bring back firing squads and he's going to weaponize the justice system, and he's going to use the legal system as a political weapon. She's projecting. Biden did it. He was convicted of more felonies than a serial killer would get. Okay, and these prosecutors got him on all kinds of. If he jaywalked, a prosecutor in this leftist area would find out about it and then prosecute him. Okay, so let's take a listen to the CNN panelist. I don't even know who she is, but you're gonna love what she says here. Here we go.
Because honestly, what the other side has been saying for years, what you guys ran on for president, was multiple lies. I mean, if Eric Holder said it right, I think he said if Hunter's name was Joe Smith, this case would probably have never even gone to trial, right? That it was always a political witch hunt, and it was always.
But wasn't, to Scott's point, I mean, wasn't it a lie? I mean, you can defend it, but wasn't it a lie that he was not going to pardon him?
No, I believe the circumstances have changed. I think that we now have a president coming into office who's talking about firing squads, who's talking about running people around the country and making sure that everyone who's his enemy is going to be punished. And Hunter Biden lied about his drug use on a government form when he was buying a gun. And he failed to file and pay taxes when he was a drug addict. He paid back those taxes with interest. Donald Trump himself was indicted for 17 counts of criminal tax fraud, more than Hunter, and he's going to be the president of the United
11
States.
years.
So
you're missing a few things here. 11 years.
11 years blanket pardon. Now, the best part of this panel, and you can't see it on the radio, but is Scott's face. Scott Jennings there is on the CNN panel, and he like throws his head back and rolls his eyes when she talks about the firing squads, which is just hilarious. Don't know if she's delusional, don't know if she's just a liar and inflammatory, exaggerating. Right? Both can be true at the same time. He's not bringing back firing. He's not going to start firing squads, okay? If anything, the Biden administration did something similar to that. They weaponized the legal system against a political opponent. That's factual. So Kash Patel, he said this on Truth Social. He says, when was the last time you snorted some crack, paid multiple women for sex? One of them was your dead brother's wife. Then you slept with your sister while having them on payroll, capturing it all on camera, while snuffing through classified documents that your dad stole, which you used to get a 7-figure contract from America's enemies. Oh, yeah, unlawfully obtaining a firearm, and then you got away with it all. When was the last time you got to do all of that, and then you got away with it all? Only if your name is Hunter, and you got a dad called Joe, and 2 tiers of justice let you slide. Only in this scenario. I mean, crack, multiple women for sex, dead brother's wife. He's not a very good person. But I could look past all of that. Now, what I can't look past is using these classified documents that your dad stole to get you a 7-figure contract from America's enemies. You sat on the board of America's enemies, and you used your dad to get the 7-figure contracts and to get money. I mean, that's man, and you got away with it all. You got away with it all for you. I mean, 11-year pardon, an 11-year pardon. So I got to take a quick break, but you're listening to Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9. We'll be right back. All right, folks, smash that like button, share this out with your friends. We've got so much to get to. Do want to talk a little bit about the CNN panel a little bit more. The fact that she claims Trump is the one trying to punish his enemies is completely unhinged, because we actually have evidence that Biden did this. He tried to punish his enemies. At least the Biden administration did this. He literally was punished over and over again for simply like breathing the wrong way. I'm convinced that somewhere a leftist prosecutor probably would have prosecuted him for jaywalking had they found out about it. So we're currently in a legal system that is for the government and not for the people, to get the government off and these bureaucrats off. Fauci, like I said, only for bureaucrats can you kill people in the tens of thousands. I truly do believe that Fauci killed people in the tens of thousands for his negligence and his lies. Fauci lied and people died. And only in America, with our current legal system, can you get away with that sort of behavior. The elites get away with some of the worst crimes, and the left accuses its opponents that they're everything that they are. It's projecting. So I am going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to finish up this story. Plus, I do want to get to this transgender officer who allegedly, and I understand innocent until proven guilty, but allegedly he's facing, this transgender who's pretending to be a woman. He's a man pretending to be a woman, is facing allegations that he sexually assaulted 2 of his colleagues with a penis bump. No, quite literally. It's probably one of the most egregious crimes I've ever heard of. And he just got promoted to being like a female representative of the police force, like was elected to be a female representative of the police force. So I'm going to get to that story here in just a second. You're listening to Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9.
practice, you're losing market share. Stifel is a growing, entrepreneurial, advisor-centric firm built for successful advisors like you. There's a reason why 148 financial advisors joined Stifel last year. Come join us and find out why Stifel is the firm for success meets success. Visit www.choosestifel.com. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE. Washington spending addiction still threatens your savings. That's why I recommend gold IRAs for my friends at Birch Gold Group. These accounts protect your retirement from government mismanagement. For a free info kit for gold IRAs, text the word HEDGE to 989898. Don't wait. Text HEDGE to the number 989898 now for your free kit from Birch Gold. The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, and more personal info in more places. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points every second. If your identity's stolen,
Hey, good morning. So do appreciate you tuning in each and every single day. Go ahead, smash that like button, share this out with your friends. When we come back, we're going to be talking a little bit more about the CNN panel. I do want to share this. This is Cash Patel on Truth Social. Take a listen to this. When was the last time you snorted some crack, paid multiple women for sex? One of them was your dead brother's wife, then slept with your sister while having them all on payroll, capturing it all on camera, all while snuffing through classified documents your dad stole, which you used to get a 7-figure contract from America's enemies. Oh yeah, and then you unlawfully obtained a firearm and you got away with it all. Only if your name's Hunter and you get to call your dad Joe, and your dad's name is Joe Biden. And there's 2 tiers of justice and it lets you slide. Okay, so Trump got, convictions, way more convictions than a serial killer would have gotten. Okay, what did Hunter Biden get? Absolutely nothing. He didn't get anything. And I mean, this is ridiculous. An 11-year pardon. So I'm going to chat a little bit more about Cash Patel because he is going to be a nightmare for the FBI. And this is why the left is so unhinged about this pick, is because he's going to go in and he's going to dismantle a system that uplifts deep state actors, and they do it at the expense of the American people, by the way, and they do it at the expense of justice, and they uplift the deep state actors in this legal system. And he's going to go in there and just tear it all up and come in and restore our justice system, which I'm excited for. Woohoo! Hey, good morning. It's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. Okay, the CNN panel, as she said, that Trump is going to bring back firing squads. That's why Joe Biden had to pardon his son, Hunter, right? Oh, Trump is going to shoot down Hunter Biden if he gets into office. Come on, give me a break. These people are delusional or they're pathetic liars or both. The fact that she claims Trump is the one trying to punish his enemies, this is just unhinged. Okay, he was literally punished over and over and over again for simply breathing the wrong way. Like I said, more convictions than a serial killer. Okay, if you had jaywalked in one of these leftist areas, a DA would probably slap another indictment on him. Okay, or try to convict him. So the elites get away with some of the worst crimes, and the left accuses its opponents of exactly what they're doing. Okay, it's projection. So let's take a listen to this clip. This is Cash Patel, and he talks about how they get away with it, how the elitists are able to get away with it, and he is going to be a nightmare for the FBI because he knows all of this, and he's going to change it. Let's take a listen.
Need a 24/7 declassification office, whatever you want to call it. Transparency, truth, whatever, I don't care. Sits in the White House, reports directly to you, and you take incoming from the United States of America. I want JFK. I want the 9/11 files. I want this. I want that. All the FBI, and this is a tool, this is something we didn't cover. What the deep state uses the most to cover up their corruption is an illegal application of the classification system. Remember the Lovebirds text from, this is a beauty, the Lovebirds text from FBI, DOJ land, Russiagate, Strzok and Page were texting each other. Who they were running the Russiagate investigation against Trump. They were the head of the counterintelligence unit at the FBI. and they're having an extramarital affair together. Can't make this stuff up. They're sending each other texts about how much they hate Trump and are going to create an insurance policy to stop Trump. Then we finally find those text messages. You know what the FBI and DOJ do for like a year? Redact them to congressional investigators and congressional men and women running the oversight of their agency. That's just one example.
So like I said, this woman on the panel, the CNN panel, she is got this progressive projection, and you'd have to be really deranged to make these kinds of claims that Trump is going to fire squad Hunter Biden, and that's why Joe Biden had to pardon Hunter Biden. The circumstances changed, and he's going to bring back firing squads. That's why Joe Biden had to pardon his son. Give me a break. So Cash is going to be a nightmare for the FBI. He's going to go in there and he's going to make it to where you cannot weaponize the legal system. You cannot use this classification system and withhold information from the oversight committees tasked with the congressional men and women tasked with looking and making sure that this agency is doing its job. Okay, so we're sick and tired of a system that uplifts deep state actors. They uplift deep state actors at the expense of justice and the American people, and I think we're pretty sick and tired of it. So I'm excited for Kash Patel. I do have to get to this story, unfortunately. There's a transgender cop. So this is a man pretending to be a woman because, yeah, that's usually the case. It's never a woman pretending to be a man, which tells me that this is just a misogynistic movement where men want to enter women's spaces and men have these really weird fetishes and they're trying to live them out in this form of transgenderism ideology. But anyway, so this transgender cop assaulted 2 colleagues allegedly with a penis pump after drugging them at his apartment, her apartment, his apartment, I don't know, his apartment. And now he has been elected as a female representative on his police force. So he's a part of a police force. He was elected to be like a leader of the female force or of the females on his police force. So he was elected to do this. So he's got a position of power facing these allegations. Okay. He's got these allegations against him, which I get it, innocent until proven guilty. But I mean, these are pretty substantial allegations. This is for like some of the worst crimes known to man. And what, you just get an award? You get an award for having these, and I get it, innocent until proven guilty. This is what makes it hard. But at the same time, you shouldn't be representing people in a position of power if you're facing allegations. You just shouldn't be doing that, especially when those allegations are, oh, I don't know, assaulting 2 of your colleagues with a penis pump. All right, I do have to take a break, but I'm going to dive into that story a little bit. It comes out of Berlin. Silly place. Yeah, but I'm telling you, this would probably happen in the United States. We're at that point where this would, I could foresee this happening in the United States. I'll be right back. It's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9. Yeah, this is one of those stories where I'm like, take note, America, it's coming. So according to the Daily Mail, a transgender police officer who allegedly assaulted 2 of his colleagues with a penis pump after drugging them has been elected as a women's representative on his police force. It's hard to, on her police force, I mean, he goes by she, he, her, whatever pronouns. I'm going to use the correct pronouns in this story. He's a man and he's pretending to be a woman. Like I said, I couldn't care less how people feel deep down inside. What I do care about is awarding people who drug their colleagues or assault them with penis pumps. Okay. This person, I don't even know how this person is still a cop. To be honest with you, how are you still in your position as a police officer when you have these allegations? You should be suspended permanently if you face allegations like this, in my opinion. Okay, and I get the whole innocent until proven guilty thing, but I mean, come on, these are really, really serious crimes. You do not want this person on the police force when they're accused of crimes like this. Could it be that the police force is beholden to this trans ideology, no matter the extent of one's delusion. They are so beholden to it, and it doesn't matter what this person does or is accused of doing. We're going to keep this person on the police force no matter what. In this kind of job, you do not want somebody who has these allegations against them. It could be very, very dangerous. So Judy S. is his name. He's 27. He was suspended since the allegations emerged. But he's only temporarily suspended from what I understand. But that he took, this is so hard. He took 2 male colleagues to his home, to his apartment, and drugged them. And he was planning to have sex with them, but then he assaulted them. So this happened earlier this month. So it happened earlier in the month of November. Okay. The men reportedly have sustained serious injuries. Now, there's evidence here that they went through something very traumatic and they sustained serious injuries. Okay, so that's another thing about this alleged assault. And I get the innocent until proven guilty thing, but this is an assault with victims, and their main suspect is this guy, okay, who is on the police force and just was awarded an elected position of being a representative of the females on that police force. The men have reportedly sustained serious injuries, including to their genitals. This is very sad. So buckle up. From the alleged assault with the penis pump, among other things. So they were not only assaulted with the penis pump, but other things. So if these allegations are true, which I wouldn't be surprised if they were, there's evidence that there are they sustained injuries. Like, there are 2 victims, and their main suspect right now is this guy, this transgender guy. So he mentally and physically harmed these people just by reading, what happened to them. This is likely going to be a lifelong trauma for these 2 colleagues. And somehow this dude was awarded a title that's intended to protect women. Yeah, makes a whole lot of sense. Not really. This is a shocking story. It's sad. I'm not shocked that it, is going on in Berlin. But this is one of those things where I say, hey, take note, America. It's coming here. I always say things that happen across the pond, in Europe, in Germany. It's always like a few years ahead of what to expect here in America. Okay, they're always a few years ahead. So in a few years, now if we don't change the direction of our country, this is something that we have to be prepared for, because that's the direction our country is headed, where we put up with that kind of stuff, and we shouldn't. So I'm going to be right back. Go ahead, smash that like button, share this out with your friends. Here we go. Woohoo! Hey, good morning. It's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9, the news and talk Bloomington Normal. What are we going to be talking about in the 7 o'clock hour? Well, you won't believe this. The town council actually removed this patriot for bringing an American flag to their meeting. Yes, he's a patriot. He brought an American flag, and they removed him because he brought the American flag. We're going to chat a little bit about that. It's a story out of New Jersey. Our public comment for McLean County. I'm going to talk about how this story kind of relates to what goes on here locally as far as, public comment and airing your grievances. And this is your right as an American. You have the right to confront your government. You have the right to air your grievances to your government and hold their feet to the fire in these public comment settings. So we're going to talk about that. But I also want to talk about liberal women. Apparently, they are sterilizing themselves in protest of Donald Trump. Yes, they are sterilizing themselves, like removing their fallopian tubes, going through these surgical procedures, because they are mad that Donald Trump won the election. Yes, unhinged, unhinged. I feel like today's show is just a bunch of unhinged leftists, like crazy people. This woman on the CNN panel, she was like, "Oh yeah, Trump's gonna bring back firing squads, and he's gonna shoot down Hunter Biden once he gets into office. That's why Joe Biden had to pardon him." What are you talking about? What are you talking about? I'm wearing a mask in 2024, and I'm mad that you're not wearing a mask in 2024, despite Anthony Fauci, the guy in charge of the masking and the guy who mandated the masking and the social distancing, despite him coming out and saying none of that helps you stop the spread of COVID-19 or prevents you from getting COVID-19. He's come out and said that now, but you've got Taylor Lorenz, Lizzy Johnson still wearing masks. And this is a wild show. I'm so glad that you're here. I do want to talk about this. This is a really tough story to get through, but we're going to get through it. It's a transgender police officer, okay? A man pretending to be a woman, which is almost always the case. You never see women pretending to be men. A lot of the time, it's men pretending to be women, who allegedly assault two colleagues with a penis pump after drugging them. This guy, this transgender police officer, has now been elected as a women's representative on the police force. So he's a police officer, and he has been elected to be a female representative of all the women on that police force. What? Now, look, I couldn't care less about how someone feels deep down inside, but the bare minimum of what we should not be allowing is that when people are accused of heinous crimes, this is a heinous crime, drugging people and assaulting them with penis pumps, that is a wild crime to be accused of, and we do have victims in this case that sustained serious injuries. So we have evidence that somebody did this to them, and the lead suspect is, of course, this Judy S., 27 years old, and he's the transgender police officer here. The least we should do, the bare minimum, is not award these people with titles, with elected positions and representative positions that are tasked with protecting women on the police force, right? I mean, this is wild. And I think the reason why this person gets elected to this title or this position, and the reason why this person is still on the police force, is because there's this trans ideology and it's a cult, and it doesn't matter what you do, and it doesn't matter what you're accused of, even something as heinous as this. We're going to allow you to just stay there, and we're not going to bother you at all because we are beholden to this trans ideology that essentially says that, oh, transgender people can do no wrong. Right? So I'm going to get back to this story. It happened in Berlin, but it's coming to America in just a few short years if we continue down this track that we're on. All right. I'll be back. It's Conservative Cat at the top of the hour, 7:05, with more stories, more news right here on Cities. Woo! Hey, good morning. It's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9, the news and talk Bloomington Normal. Before we took the break, I was telling you a little bit about this transgender police officer. And I want to finish the story. It's going to be a tough story to get through because of the nature of the allegations here against this transgender police officer. But we have to do it. It's heavy lifting, but it's in Berlin. And I understand people are like, why should I care? Take note, America. Take note, America, because everything that happens over in Europe or the UK, everything that happens over there, we can expect it to happen here a few years later. Okay, so this transgender police officer has allegedly assaulted 2 colleagues with a penis pump after drugging them at his apartment. Okay, so this is a man pretending to be a woman. He was recently elected to be a female representative on the police force. So he was elected to be this person in power over women in the police force. So, like I said, I couldn't care less how somebody feels deep down inside. Okay, I could really care less about adults. My problem is when you bring kids into the mix, and I think you're wrong. There are 2 women, or 2 genders, women and men. And I think you're wrong, but I could really care less. It's none of my business, and yeah, whatever. You can have your deranged thoughts, but at the bare minimum, we should not be awarding people who drug their colleagues and assault them with penis pumps. I don't know about you, but I think at the bare minimum, we've got to stop that. Transgender people can do wrong. Okay, and this is wrong. This person is still a cop, by the way, temporarily suspended, but still a cop, and was recently elected to be a female representative of the police force. So I think that the police force here is beholden to a trans ideology, so beholden to a trans ideology that they've taken up the belief that no transgender person can do wrong. Transgender people just don't do wrong, and you shouldn't accuse them of doing anything wrong, and they don't do, they're not able to commit crimes because they're transgender. That's what I think that this police force actually believes. And it doesn't matter the extent of one's crimes or their delusion. We have got to uplift this person at all costs, even if it means people dying, even if it means people sustaining serious injuries, which I'm going to get to. His name is Judy S. And he was suspended, like I said, with these allegations against him. These allegations emerged that he took 2 male colleagues home with him to his apartment, drugged them, and tried to have sex with them before, and then ultimately assaulted them. So this happened in early November. The men reported to have serious injuries, including to their genitals, and alleged assault. And they said that this person assaulted them with a penis pump, among other things. If these allegations are true, and I wouldn't be surprised if they were, why would these 2 victims, 2 of them, say that yes, it's Judy S, right? Why would they say that and accuse him of this if it wasn't true? And it wouldn't surprise me if they were true. This means that he didn't just drug them, okay? He sexually assaulted them and physically and mentally abused them and harmed them in ways that are going to have long life trauma associated with it. I mean, these people are damaged forever because of this person's actions. This is the most heinous crime that you could possibly commit against another person. And this guy, this dude, was just awarded a title that's intended to protect women. Please make it make sense. I just can't make sense of it. This man claimed he was not a man, by the way. If this man never claimed he was not a man, if he wasn't transgender, he'd probably be fired by now. Like I said, the police force, the police department, whoever's in charge of this guy being on the police force, they are so beholden to this ideology that they've taken up the belief that a transgender person is unable to commit crimes and unable to do any kind of wrong simply because he claims that he's a woman. Okay, he's not subject to being fired. I mean, this is just wild. And he's just because he's denying what even cavemen knew, that men are men, women are women. Cavemen knew, hey, men are men, women are women. But because he denies that, we have to affirm him to no end. And it doesn't matter how many people end up being harmed or possibly even killed. And I'm no trans expert, but I have a feeling that this guy, if he isn't prosecuted to the highest possible standard and he doesn't get convicted of this, I have a feeling that a lot more people are going to get hurt if this man keeps his title and gets to stay on the police force. All right, I do have to shift gears here. I want to talk about the town council removing this patriot for bringing an American flag to their meeting. Now, before I get into that, I want to talk about McLean County a second. So the McLean County government, there's been a lot of controversy surrounding their policy when it comes to public comment. It used to be, and I'm not exactly sure what it is now. I think they've amended it to where you can come 15 minutes prior to the meeting and sign up for public comment in person. But it used to be where you had to submit your public comment requests 24 hours in advance. And if you didn't submit it online and register online to speak at public comment, the way it should be, and the way that the Constitution lays it out, the way that public comment should be, you should be able to get up there, talk for as long as you want, air all of your grievances. And I get it, decorum and stuff like that. Maybe some parameters, but I mean, I am an absolutist when it comes to this. You should be able to show up 2 minutes before that meeting starts and get up to that microphone and air your grievances and say whatever you'd like to your government, because we are allowed in the Constitution. The Constitution allows us to petition our government, allows us to air our grievances and to confront our government. The Constitution is designed that way for a reason. But it used to be where you had to go in and you had to register 24 hours in advance. There was all kinds of crazy. I mean, that is not 15, and then I think it's like there's just all kinds of crazy rules that they had. Now I think that they've changed some of them, but still, I think that there's room to allow people to speak at public comment if they want. And why sign up? I just don't understand it. I know what they're doing. They're trying to weed out the people that they don't want to speak, and they'll figure out some sort of way to get these people not to speak because they don't want it made public. So I want to get to this story. This is out of Edison, New Jersey. The fact that the leftists, become outraged over an inanimate object like an American flag proves how unhinged and delusional that they actually are. Why are you unhinged and why are you losing your mind over an American flag? It's an inanimate object. Additionally, anyone who cries over American flags in America should be banned from serving in public office. If the American flag offends you and you're serving in public office, you should not be in public office, and you should be banned from serving in public office if the American flag bothers you in any type of way. So the people in charge of Edison, New Jersey, they're bothered by this American flag. They should not be holding public office. This man did what any rational American would do when city leaders blatantly disregard your God-given rights, which is wave an American flag right in their pathetic faces. So good for this guy. He's a patriot, I'm telling you. He waved an American flag in their faces. However, you can't do that when commies are in charge, you see, because you will be ousted from the meeting, and two cops with guns will come up to you and remove you from a public meeting for reasons only tyrants can't explain. Okay, they couldn't even try to explain it. They just don't like what he's saying. They're offended by the American flag, and they don't like that he's airing his grievances with his government. They don't like America. That's what it comes down to. Let's take a listen to this. This public comment. He's waving an American flag while he's at this podium here. That's important. So take a listen.
I'm holding up an American flag to represent the constitutional values.
I'm going to have to give you a warning, and if you continue, I will have to forfeit. You'll have to forfeit your time.
Well,
Sir, forfeit your time.
It's my
if you
constitution,
continue,
it's my
I will
constitutional
ask
right
you
to
to
do
down.
this.
You didn't
If
vote
you
on
get
it.
sued, you will lose. My suggestion to you is that you get a second opinion from competent counsel because you are wrong. You are interfering with the right to speech of a member of the public. You're interfering with free speech, and it should stop now. I'd like to continue. So,
They didn't pass the law yet.
this is an arbitrary.
If he doesn't sit down.
This is an arbitrary and vicious.
All right, so the cops come up and then they ultimately remove him. The American flag and the U.S. Constitution are among the list. So they crafted a list, this New Jersey Township Council last week, and this sparked outrage from the community. They're upset that they can no longer bring props. They call them props, and they created a list, and they said the U.S. Constitution and the American flag are on this list, and they are banned from using it at the or having it at the town council meetings. Okay, so the question everyone should be asking here is, hey, what if I brought a pride flag? What if I brought a Hamas flag or any other deranged flag or Ukrainian flag? I don't know, to one of these meetings, okay? I have a feeling that it would be allowed. Anything that isn't representative of America probably would be allowed. It's the fact that it's an American flag in the Constitution. So I want to get to this story. The ban came after this ordinance was established, or the ban came under an Edison Municipal Council ordinance. Okay, so they created an ordinance, and that's how they banned it, establishing proper decorum for members of the Edison Township community who address the council during public hearings. Using props while addressing the council is listed in the ordinance as not orderly conduct, and we're going to ban it. Okay, so they ban props. Okay, so and on this list of props, they include the U.S. Constitution and the American flag. So there was a resident. His name is Joel Bassoff, and it's the same resident. Okay, so Joel Bassoff gave public comment last council meeting, and he used a constitution. Okay, and he was talking about how this ordinance, limits public comments, to 4 minutes, and the Constitution, and he holds up a copy of his U.S. Constitution, and he says you can't limit our public comments for 4 minutes because the Constitution gives the public the right to petition the government and air their grievances. Okay, so this is what Joel said, and he lifted up a copy of the U.S. Constitution. And he said every member of the council took a solemn oath to uphold the Constitution. Now, this was last week. He used the Constitution, and he was upset because they limited the amount of public comment to 4 minutes. Okay, so I don't know what it was before, but they took away time from the community to air their grievances. And he said, you can't do that because I have here a Constitution. So he was ordered to stop addressing the council with the Constitution because they said, hey, that's a prop and it's not allowed. So guess what they do? By the next council meeting, they created an ordinance that banned the Constitution and banned American flags. So then he comes back. He returns with an American flag, although it's on the banned list, right? And because he's literally an American and he likes the American flag, he brought it and he waved it in their faces. And here's what the council president said. He says, this is going to serve as a prop as last discussed in our last meeting. This is a prop. The American flag is a prop, just like the U.S. Constitution is a prop, and you can't use it. If you use a prop like the Constitution, this is a warning. We are not going to let you continue. Okay, so he interjects while he's talking about the American flag and how he should be able to use it. This president interjects and he says, this is a warning. If you continue using the prop, the American flag, we're not going to let you continue. And then he actually calls for these 2 police officers who I believed are they have weapons, and they go and they remove this elderly man. He's not super old, but he's elderly and he's holding up an American flag. The council has no right to ban the American flag and to ban the Constitution. They have no right to ban any flag, even if it was a pride flag or a Hamas flag. I would take the position of, yeah, you can't ban those kinds of things. You should be able to take that to a local meeting in the United States. Why? Because it's America. Okay, this is a blatant violation of your constitutional rights. But constitutional rights, it makes no sense. If these people are really that dumb that they get distracted by props, right? Then close your eyelids and listen. Okay, you can close your eyes and listen with your eyes closed if you're distracted by the props, right? That's their argument. Oh, it's distracting. It's distracting for you to have an American flag or for you to have a constitution. No, they just get uncomfortable because they don't like the Constitution and they don't like America. And they shouldn't be holding office if those are their beliefs. So while the city leaders are gleefully enjoying their itty bitty bit of control, that will be soon ripped from them, because if this goes up to the court, I would imagine that the judge would laugh this out of the courtroom and say, "What the hell are you doing? You cannot ban the American flag from a local meeting in the United States." Enjoy your power trip, council leader. Enjoy your little power trip that you've got, city leader. You just showed the world how pathetic you really are. All right, I do have to take a quick break, but we're going to come back. We're also going to talk about women, liberal women, sterilizing themselves, removing their fallopian tubes because they're mad that Donald Trump is president. Make it make sense. I can't make sense of it. I'll be right back. Good morning. Hey, it's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9, the news and talk Bloomington Normal. It happens in your community, okay? They tried to take away your rights to air your grievances and to petition your government, okay? And the McLean County government had a provision where you could only speak if you registered in advance by 24 hours. Okay. Now I think it's changed a little bit to where you can show up 15 minutes in advance and register right before the meeting actually starts to air your grievances or to petition your government. And speak at public comment. Okay, there's nothing more American than going to a local meeting in the United States, okay, and bringing an American flag or bringing the U.S. Constitution and telling your government that they suck. Okay, there's nothing more American than that. And this is a blatant violation, this ordinance that bans props. You can't bring a flag, you can't bring the U.S. Constitution. And the council president here, he says, the Constitution and the American flag, they serve as props. And as discussed in last meeting, they're not allowed. And if you use the prop, we're going to not let you continue with your public comment. And they actually removed this guy with 2 officers, armed officers. And yeah, the council had no right to ban American flags. Now, this happened in New Jersey. The councils, the McLean County government, they've got no right to limit your speech when it comes to public comment. They've got no right to make it harder for you to engage in public comment. And if they are doing that, that's a blatant violation of your constitutional rights. So these people, they're like, oh, well, we get distracted from the props, the city leaders, right? They're like, oh, it's a distraction if you have an American flag or a constitution. Give me a break. Close your eyelids then and listen, okay? But they went on a itty bitty power trip. That's really what this is. It's just a power trip. It's them wanting to have control, and it's going to be ripped from them because if this goes up, and I hope that this guy sues, if this goes up to court, the judge, a good judge, would laugh them out of the courtroom and say, what the hell is wrong with you? You cannot ban the American flag or the Constitution at a local meeting in the United States. You can't do that. So we've got this guy, this officer, there's 2 officers and then that city council president. I think that they owe this guy an apology. This older man who brought the American flag and was airing his grievances. They owe him an apology. And yeah, anybody who voted in favor of banning the American flag, they should be barred from holding office. If you hate the American flag, if you hate the Constitution, and if it makes you that uncomfortable to where you have to ban it from your local meeting, you probably shouldn't be holding office, and you should be banned from ever holding public office. Okay. Women are sterilizing themselves. Did you hear about this? According to some insane, bizarre women, they're sterilizing themselves because, yes, that is the logical thing to do when you believe your right to abort your choices is in jeopardy. Several women, they spoke to Newsweek about how they believe they were forced to make themselves infertile because someone somewhere told them that Donald Trump was going to issue a federal abortion ban. Okay, which isn't true. He's not issuing a federal abortion ban, honey. Your medical people are going to provide you medical care if you have a miscarriage. Nobody's taking your abortions away. Nobody's taking your ability to abort. Your choice, by the way. You choose to become pregnant. And then you abort your choice, and you aren't willing to live with your consequences. But anyway, if they had listened to just one speech from Donald Trump, they would know that he has no such plans to ban abortion. Okay, but behold, your typical Kamala Harris voter, your typical woman liberal. Here she is. Let's take a listen.
Please call 911. Jen, how can I help you?
Hi, I'd like to schedule an appointment with Dr.
And are you the subscriber for this coverage?
Yes, ma'am.
And what's this appointment for?
A consultation for sterilization.
Alrighty, I have you scheduled.
if you own a uterus and you live in America, it is the time to start seriously seeking sterilization. If you are done having kids, if you never want kids, if you're not on birth control, I don't care if your partner has a vasectomy, like it's still imperative that you seek protection for your body. And in my opinion, like birth control is not enough. And at this point, you need to get it done and you need to seek it and get on a waiting list and go to whatever doctor you need to go to make it happen now before it's illegal. And like, it's a non-negotiable. If you are
Like, these people actually think that Donald Trump is going to make it illegal for you to not have children. Like, do these people think that women everywhere are going to be forced to have children? What are they talking about?
serious about like not having kids. America is no longer a safe place to have a child. It is no longer a safe place to be pregnant or become a mother. It is no longer a place that we have reproductive freedoms. And I cannot stress enough how much relief that I have because I got my tubes out like 3 years ago. I have no kids. And it was one of the hardest things I had to fight for over a decade. And I really feel like it is one of the only things bringing me any kind of sense of peace
Sure.
after the news that we have this morning.
Sure. Yeah. They're sterilizing themselves because, yes, that's the logical thing to do when you believe your right to abort your choices is in jeopardy. Just don't choose it. Even if it was in jeopardy. Here's the thing. Even if there was going to be a national abortion ban, okay, just don't make the choice, then that would result in you needing to get an abortion, right? But like I said, they're 100%, he is not going to install a federal abortion ban. He said that several times. Just listen to one of his speeches, okay? So according to the Post Millennial, Eden, who you were just listening to there, Ororksha 25, content creator for OnlyFans. She told Newsweek for me, or this is a different one. That woman, I'm not sure what her name is, but this is another woman, another deranged woman. She says, for me, the idea of getting pregnant is worse than death. Really, the idea of getting pregnant is worse than death. She explained that to avoid ever having to endure this condition, pregnancy, she's preparing to have her fallopian tubes removed. Okay. For me, it is a call to action. I need to get this locked in so I don't have to live in fear. At any moment, some random guy can completely destroy my life. What do you mean, random guy completely destroy your life? I don't understand. For me, the idea, Donald Trump has said in the cases of rape, is that what she's talking about? Some random guy, or the random guy that you choose to sleep with, okay, can destroy your life. If you don't choose to sleep with this random guy, he won't destroy your life, right? I mean, I just make it make sense. And for cases of rape, he's made this very, very clear. He believes in the exceptions, rape, incest, and life of the mother. Donald Trump has said that. And then she says, for me, the idea of getting pregnant is worse than death. I'm doing what I can to protect my right to choose. I'm choosing me. Death is forever, honey. And pregnancy is only about 40 weeks. And I highly, highly doubt that if it came down to it, you'd actually choose death over pregnancy. I really doubt that. Okay. Another one, her name is Lydia. She says, if I'm denied any rights in the next 4 years or more, I will not give them up without a fight. So she's of Texas, Lydia, and she's 28 years old. She's planning to have her fallopian tubes removed. These people are so insane, and the fact that they're sterilizing themselves does nothing. It doesn't do anything for their cause, okay? It's not beneficial for their cause at all. This just proves how delusional you are. And I'm not, torn up inside about these women, removing their fallopian tubes. I mean, it's sad for you, but, I'm not torn up about it at all. You probably shouldn't be creating more life if you have these beliefs. No one in the pro-life movement cares about what you do with your body, but they go and they announce to the world that they intend to have their fallopian tubes removed for reasons I can't even comprehend, and they can't even comprehend. I don't even think they really understand what they're doing. Another unidentified 39-year-old woman in this Newsweek article says she's already been under the knife for the operation, and she was forced into such a rash decision. I'm not happy that I felt forced into this surgery. I did not want to alter my body. I feel like the election tied my hands and forced me to sterilize myself. That's horrible. What? The election forced you to sterilize yourself. Oh boy. Nobody told her to have that surgery. She did it on her own. Nobody forced her into it. It's your own deranged beliefs that convinced you that you needed to have some sort of sterilization surgery. What is going on? Nobody forced you into a foolish decision. And that's the power the left has on them, okay? This is really scary because you've got this power that this left has over people. It's the same power that convinces Lizzy Johnson that she's still got to wear a mask in 2024, and Taylor Lorenz that she's got to wear a mask, and in order to hang out with her friends, she's got to be under a UV light. Yes. It's really kind of scary because they throw all logic and common sense out the window. And it's just because they heard that Donald Trump may or may not do something about abortion. Okay, I mean, that's literally why they're sterilizing themselves and getting these surgeries that I'd imagine aren't that fun. Sounds like it's a painful recovery. I don't know, but it's a very hard life to live when you have that kind of delusion and there's somebody or some sort of ideology that has that sort of hold on you, that you feel like you're forced to remove your fallopian tubes because of the results of one election. What? It just so incredibly foolish. I do have to take a break, but you're listening to Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9. We'll be right back. There it is. Yeah, and then she moved to another country where she, goes to feel safe. Yeah, okay, feel safe. Only in America. I mean, I don't understand what these women are actually thinking. I think that they think that, people are going to come and rape them, and which is like 0.001% of all abortions are done because of the result of like a rape. Okay, it's a very, very small amount. Do these women think that the men are going to be raping them? It's against the law, first of all. That's why, not to say that rape doesn't happen, it does. But here in the United States, it's not legal. In other countries, rape is legal, where you can just rape women, and it's, not. You won't be held accountable in the legal system at all. You won't be charged. You won't be investigated. You won't be criminally held accountable. Now, I would say in the United States, I think that rapists and violent criminals are being let go because of the Democrat Party, and it is more of a problem. But it's a really deranged thought process here, where you think that you're going to be raped here in the United States, which is probably like the safest place to be as a woman, right? And then you're not able to abort your child. That's the only kind of explanation that I can think that they're coming to, that they think that they're going to be raped in this country and they won't be able to abort the child. But that's so delusional. I mean, just he's never said he's going to do a national abortion ban. He's always said that he's for the exceptions: rape, incest, and the life of the mother. And it's up to the states. She can move to Illinois and get an abortion anytime. I mean, practically when you can get post-birth abortions, I think, in Minnesota or Illinois. I don't know. There's states like that where you can, like, after the baby's born, you can be like, I don't really want it, and they'll just probably club it on the table, right? I mean, there are pretty radical states out there when it comes to abortion. Just go live in one of those states. I mean, I just don't understand the delusion and where they're coming from with this thing. It's very weird. And it's concerning that an ideology has this much of a stronghold in their life, that they're willing to sterilize themselves because they believe what the left has told them. Okay, that proves to me that this is a cult and that it is not normal, because you are willing to go and have a major surgery. I don't know if it's considered major or minor, but I would imagine it's a major surgery to have your fallopian tubes removed. Oh boy. All right. I do want to get to a couple of other things this hour. I think we are going to get to Taylor Lorenz blasting Americans for raw dogging clean air without masks, which is hilarious. I'm going to repeat that story if you didn't catch it in the first hour, because I think it's hilarious. And, you've got this local story here, and I'm going to share it with you actually, because I think it's hilarious that she's got, a mask on. She's got a mask on when she's up there for the cameras, when the cameras are rolling, but then she doesn't have a mask on when she's posing with all of her friends to take a picture. That's Lizzy Johnson, the McLean County chair. And I like this article. Here we go. Let me share this. This is BLN News. Diane Benjamin, she's got this. This is a great picture. Here we go. This is a picture from the video of the new county board chair, Lizzy Johnson. Okay, now this is a picture of all the Democrat board members also from that meeting. And it was taken after, I'd imagine, the meeting where she was masked, right, for the camera, but then she's like unmasked here. It makes absolutely no sense. There's Jim Rogel. He's the vice chair. Oh, virtue signaling? Why didn't Lizzy wear a mask and then not wear a mask? She's a lot closer to this group of Democrats than she was to anyone on the dais here. So at her microphone, she wasn't close to anybody, and she was wearing the mask, which makes no sense. And then here she's willing to not wear the mask around all of these people for this picture. Virtue signaling. Yes. Woohoo! Hey, good morning. It's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9 The News and Talk Bloomington Normal. The vice chair, Jim Rogel. I do want to get to this real quick because I didn't get to it yesterday. Jim Rogel, he was appointed to be elected to be the vice chair. They all voted on him, and yeah, it's unfortunate because. And here's what I talked about this morning on my Facebook. You guys can go ahead and follow me. It seems like people get awarded for bad behavior. You've got Lizzy Johnson. She's facing, these allegations that she possibly illegally collected, according to the Illinois county code, right? This is a state law that says, hey, you cannot collect, receive, give funds on government property when it pertains to campaigning. Okay, so there's this campaign. It was a political PAC that was set up. It was established to support this referendum, the referendum of eliminating the county auditor. And you're collecting fundraising on that behalf. Here's the thing. I feel so bad for Cassie Taylor. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know her that well. I'm sure she's a Democrat. I don't know for sure, but she's going to fall on her. She's going to be the fall guy, which really sucks because it wasn't just her. Clearly, this was a lot of people. There should be an external investigation into this. Who was involved? Who was doing these fundraising efforts? Cassie Taylor is going to be the fall guy. And they're willing to do that. And this woman, she's got way more power, Lizzy Johnson, than Cassie Taylor does, being the chair now of the McLean County government. And if she's was, part of this fundraising effort for this PAC on government property, she should be held accountable. And in fact, I don't think she should have been elected or awarded this chairmanship. Being that she is facing possible allegations or facing an investigation into her behavior. And same with Jim Rogel. I mean, not blatantly illegal, but definitely some sort of ethics, like it questions whether he's an ethical being. Several Illinois races, as I said, the Local Jobs and Economic Development Fund. Now, this guy got, I think it was like $10,000, and this Local Jobs Economic Development Fund is a dark money group. So an Open Secrets researcher, Anna Masaglia, she says dark money refers to the spending meant to influence political outcomes where the source of money is not disclosed. So dark money, there's things in Illinois law that tries to limit this, where you're purposefully not disclosing where you're getting your money from when it comes to your campaign coffers. Okay, so he had 27,000, or what was it? Jim Rogel, I don't know how much money he had on hand. Oh, it was definitely over 25,000. The Democrat Party of Illinois received $27,000 from this dark money group. I mean, just unethical, icky type behavior, receiving money from groups that have no, we have no idea who's contributing to you. The Local Jobs and Development Fund, the best I can say, is tied loosely with the Tides Foundation. So the Tides Foundation is a really nasty organization that supports anti-Semitism. They fund anti-Semitism on college campuses. It's George Soros backed, Pritzker backed, Tides Foundation. And they give money to people to set up encampments, those college encampments, and they were being very anti-Semitic on college campuses around the nation. Okay, so a very unethical guy, and I just don't understand how people like that get into these positions of power and are awarded. It's almost like the more unethical you are, the more likely you are to obtain a position of power or be awarded a leadership role. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. So I got to take a break, but we were talking about Lizzy Johnson because I saw this story and it reminded me of Lizzy. It was Taylor Lorenz, and she's blasting Americans for, quote, raw dogging clean air without masks. So the only two people I know who wear masks in 2024 would be Lizzy Johnson and Taylor Lorenz. Taylor Lorenz, she goes a step further. I don't know Lizzy Johnson's personal life and when she hangs out with friends, if she's got UV lights, maybe in her garage, she's hanging out with her buddies, her Democrat friends. Jim Rogel's there, Crystal Abel's there, and she's got like UV tanning lights because science. I don't know. Taylor Lorenz, she claims that she spent thousands of dollars on these UV lights and her own money to ensure testing, PCR testing, to have this book signing or this book launch. And she was hanging out with all these people, and people were calling her out for it. Like, hey, you're not wearing a mask. You're always getting on people about not wearing a mask. Why are you not wearing a mask here at this party? She goes, I spent thousands of dollars for UV lights and outdoor space and PCR testing, and I took a litany of other precautions. And then you've got, Lizzy Johnson. She's taking a picture. So at the dais there, during the entire meeting, she's wearing a mask. It's virtue signaling. And then after the meeting, she's taking this photograph with all of her Democrat friends, and she's not masked. So what does that tell you? What does that tell you? It tells you that they seek attention. If you're wearing a mask in 2024, you're either beyond mentally ill or you're seeking attention and you're virtue signaling. All right, I got to take a quick break, but you're listening to Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9, the news and talk Bloomington Normal. Her actions are so 3 years ago. Yeah, I mean, come on. I mean, what are you doing? It's 2024. Fauci has even come out and said that the masks did nothing and didn't stop the spread of COVID-19, and that there was no study to suggest that the masks would work. There was no study to suggest that the COVID social distancing, the 6 feet social distancing would work. Tony said this. I mean, actually said this. Now, before we end the show, I am going to play probably Tony Fauci here. I do want to play Tony Fauci. I think that this is a really crucial clip because he blames the CDC for the social distancing guidelines in this clip, and he does not want to take credit for those guidelines and for the mandates, the mask mandates, or the social distancing, which is why he admitted that they were arbitrary and that they weren't based in science. There was no study to suggest that that stuff would help. And he blamed the CDC. So, I mean, unclear if Lizzy Lorenz, if these women who are wearing the mask in 2024 are just delusional and they haven't yet discovered the science was a fraud. The science, the science of 6 feet social distance, the science of masking, right? I don't know exactly if they haven't discovered, that is all a lie. Maybe they're just caught up in this lie. Now, this was June 3rd, 2024. Tony Fauci, and I'm going to play this clip when we come back. But maybe they're doubling down because they can't deal with the fact that they were lied to, and they can't fess up that they were lied to, and they aren't willing to admit that. I wore a mask. I'm willing to admit that was a lie. It was stupid for me to even do it for the couple of months that I did. Once I found out that they didn't do any studies to see if this masking thing actually prevented the spread of COVID-19, I was like, yeah, no, I'm not wearing this anymore. Go ahead, smash that like button, share this out with your friends, 309-451-9299. You can text me as well. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe in 2024, who knows? Perhaps, she's wearing not everyone who's wearing a mask is a liberal. I wore one Sunday when I was out with my daughter shopping. She had a cold and was maskless. And was maskless and a liberal girl. I'm 71 and haven't had a cold in 10 years since I retired. Figured I'm not going to get one now. Yeah, and pretty much useless, but it gave me a little peace of mind. Yeah, I mean, I get it. You could probably wear a mask for, other diseases or anything like that. In 2024 masking culture, right? And it's not so much, but it's the virtue signaling, right? That bothers me. Like, if you're wearing a mask because of a certain situation, this person is obviously not wearing a mask because of a certain situation because she wouldn't be pictured without the mask on. Like, she took it off. Now, if she's, doesn't want to get sick, or if she has a cold or something like that, why would she take the mask off in one situation and then not in another? The situation in which she was being filmed at the dais there, and in front of the public, she wanted to appear that she had a mask on. But then when she was done with the public appearances, she took a little, picture with her friends. I mean, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. You'd be more consistent if you were actually doing it to try to prevent yourself from getting sick or others. And with COVID anyway, and if she's doing it for COVID, there is no science to back that up. I don't know. It's just really weird that you're wearing a mask in 2024. And in fact, I think that there's enough studies to prove that even sicknesses outside of COVID-19, wearing a mask is only detrimental to your health. If you want to. Now, in cases like you're 71, right, and you don't want to get sick, that would make sense. But coddling your immunity is not good when you're younger, like Lizzy Johnson or Taylor Lorenz. Woohoo! Hey, good morning. It's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. Somebody texted and they said, not everyone wearing a mask is a liberal. I wore one the other day when I was out with my daughter shopping. She had a cold and I was maskless, and now I have a cold, and it's been 10 years since I retired that I've gotten a cold and I'm 71. Look, it's not so much the masking, okay? In certain situations, especially if you're 71 years old, I'm talking about Taylor Lorenz and Lizzy Johnson, who are not elderly, and I don't know her situation, Lizzy Johnson specifically, but their hypocrisy is what tells me that it's virtue signaling and that they're just seeking attention, because they'll wear the mask in front of the cameras, as Lizzy Johnson did, right, at the dais during the meeting, and then she took it off when she was hanging out with her Democrat friends, and there's a picture of her hanging out with her Democrat friends. So this is a that's hypocrisy. You're not being consistent with it, which tells me that there's no real reason other than you are virtue signaling and you're seeking attention, or you actually do believe in this delusion, and you haven't discovered that the science was fraudulent. Like, Tony Fauci actually came out and said that the masking and the social distancing for COVID-19, there was nothing factual about that stopping the transmission of COVID-19 or preventing you from getting COVID-19 or helping you in any kind of way. It was just a feeling that the CDC had, and he blamed the CDC for it. He wouldn't even take credit for those mandates, for the mask mandates and the social distancing mandates. He blamed the CDC and said, oh, well, they felt and they were the ones who implemented it. So, the science has been proven, and there's evidence there that proves that this does not help you stop the spread of COVID-19, and it doesn't help you from getting sick. Maybe with other sicknesses like the common cold or something like that, the mask could help you. And if you're an elderly person and you're around somebody who is sick, maybe wearing the mask could help you or give you some sort of peace of mind at least. I understand that in this situation, these people, especially when you got Taylor Lorenz tweeting and saying, oh, people who don't wear masks, they're killing people. It's all about attention. All right, you guys have a blessed rest of your day. Bye-bye. I love you. This has been Conservative Cat. We'll do it all over again tomorrow morning, bright and early, 6 a.m. Talk to you soon.